Joining the conversation right now, former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor and author of the new book, Trump's America, which is available right now. Newt Gingrich is here. Mr. Speaker, it's great to see you.
Great to be back with you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
And I have to thank you. It's fabulously bipartisan.
Congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
Your reaction to these trade tensions that we're seeing?
Well, they're inevitable. I mean, I think we spent a long period of time being taken advantage of, particularly by the Chinese. Some of it's been a little clumsier than I would like, because the truth is we have a great relationship with Canada. Our two economies are amazingly interlocked, and we actually have a surplus with Canada. So picking a fight with Canada doesn't strike me as very smart. But the Chinese it's an inevitability that for the next 10 or 20 years, we're going to have continuous tension with China, because they're a very aggressive country, which for 20 years we tolerated breaking the rules and doing things that you can't sustain they're going to be our largest competitor.
Yeah. You know what? I think most people get this, that they've been stealing our intellectual property for years and years.
Right.
What people don't understand, I think, as much is the fact that China has been using all the gains that it has economically and putting them toward the military complex. Now China is the #2 big spender on military behind the United States. National security concerns is what we're talking about. House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes told me back in March about the theft of intellectual property as well as the military impact. Listen.
They're stealing our intellectual property. So either it's through the internet or it's through investing in educational systems here or think tanks. They're bringing people here. I believe that they are stealing Silicon Valley blind. And in just a few years, the American people are going to possibly be looking to China for new coding and new programs because of everything that the Chinese are stealing from here in America. The Chinese just opened up a military base in Djibouti. Djibouti's at the entrance to the Red Sea, in the heart of the Middle East, in the Indian Ocean, a long way away from China. We believe that they are looking at investing in ports and infrastructure around the globe, not just for military capabilities, but also to control those governments, to have the ability to lobby and manipulate governments.
So, Newt, this is bigger than just buying $70 billion of stuff.
Oh, sure. Look, this is the beginning of a long process, and it will be interesting to see the tension inside President Trump between the degree to which he genuinely likes Xi Jinping and the degree to which he really understands the Chinese cheat all the time. And by the way, Xi Jinping is the leading Chinese, so there has to be some tie there. But here's what people need to understand. The world has permanently changed. We have a peer competitor. They have 1,200,000,000, 1,300,000,000 people. They are serious people. They are competing everywhere in the world. They're in Bolivia, they're in Argentina, they're in Africa, you name it, and they're going to be serious competitors. That doesn't mean they're evil people. You have to think of it more like, look, this is a legitimate competition. We are their only natural rival. We're the only worldwide country. And so we just need to rethink how we operate and do the things that are smart. In space, we need to leap ahead of them. In cyber, we need to leap ahead of them. As long as we are dramatically stronger, it'll be a very safe world. The day that we are at parity will be very dangerous.
They said they want to be #1 in AI, Dagan, in blockchain technology, in robotics.
But that raises the issue of why pick a fight with allies. We need that. We need Canada and Europe, the whole of Europe, and even Mexico on our side. Japan to link arms and take on China as a rival that acts in nefarious ways in terms of espionage, in terms of, again, with ZTE. And Huawei is under investigation for breaking Iran sanctions, but ZTE sold U.S. technology to sanctioned nations, including North Korea and Iran. So, again, we need those allies to push back on China in every way.
I agree with that, although I agree with it slightly less in terms of the Europeans, because Brussels is very hostile to American companies. And we need to communicate to the Europe. Oh, I mean, look what they do to Google. Look what they do to Facebook. And then the biases in Europe are pretty strongly anti-American in that sense. So I think, but in the case of Canada's a unique case. Canada is literally so interlocked with our economy that, for example, in the auto business, there are some cars that go back and forth 30 times over the border as different parts get put together. I mean, and to mess that up, I think would be a grave disservice to both the U.S. and Canada.
Well, they'll have to come up with a plan not to tax the same car seat 5 times, right?
Yeah, and I raised the issue of Europe in part because today is the anniversary of D-Day. And so I think that that's still an important relationship for us in terms of our defense.
Remember, in all fairness, if you're German, you're not quite as thrilled by the anniversary of D-Day as you are if you're French. And
but we should remind them of that, though, Newt.
just to stay on the whole China issue, because it's literally on everyone's mind, and they're in some ways our biggest competitors. You said so succinctly. You know, I was a real supporter of TPP. To me, the best way for us to combat China is to have trading agreements with 11 partners around China, ex-China. And so I thought the president was just too quick, to move off that. And my guess is if we stayed in, we could have figured out ways to iterate it. I think right now it's great to say we're going to have all these bilaterals, but bilaterals are not the best way to combat China. The best way is to actually work with a group and work more collectively. I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Look, I think Trump has a very simple model. If every country which negotiates with us is at a disadvantage because of the size of our economy, one of the reasons the countries like to get 10 or 12 countries together is they can each explain to us why they can't do what's good for us. And I can tell you there's several parts of TPP where we were getting ripped off because they would say, well, gee, I really can't go home and carry that back home. And I think Trump's position is fine. If I can negotiate one-on-one, and it's clearly to our advantage, if I can negotiate one-on-one, I will get a better deal for America every single time. And I think that's the underlying core base of how he approaches this.
Well, and just to the effect, we're talking about TPP in Canada. Canada completely has blocked off their poultry, dairy, as well as lumber markets, right? And so they've been completely protectionist in that regard. And they were protectionist in it for TPP in NAFTA. So, I mean, it is an issue we do need to address. Now, each country has competitive advantages that they can bring to the table. But I think in addressing some of these issues, it can be mutually beneficial for all countries.
No, and I think the biggest takeaway for everybody to understand is Trump does some things clumsily, he does some things brilliantly, but he is the first major politician to understand we're in a new world. We're in a world where the American economy has to be protected in the sense of standing up for it, negotiating for it, enforcing, as you were pointing out. I mean, when Clapper was the director of national intelligence, they issued a report that the Chinese were stealing $460 billion a year in intellectual property, which is more than our total sales to China.
Well, we should be able, private companies should be able to sue sovereigns for theft. Okay, there is no question.
They won't even admit that it's happening.
No, but we have to be
me.
able to give these companies that do incredible amounts of R&D. If their R&D and intellectual property is being stolen, we should be able to sue them, which we can't.
Yeah.
They have to change the rule.
Well, they won't pay either.
They have to change the rule.
But remember, you could collect tariffs. So there are ways to set up penalties to make them pay. But just remember, if you're the Chinese, they have a People's Army unit just outside Beijing, which is the leading theft center in the world. And so when Xi Jinping says, gee, I don't think we do that, he's just not telling the truth.
Exactly. Newt, great to see you.
Good to see you.
Former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich.